I'm Emmanuel and welcome to my workbench, and welcome to a new mini series that I'm doing for over the next few weeks and months, and that is a kind of the state of my collection report. So today I am going to focus on the state of my 1 cent collection. This of course is focusing primarily on Canadian cents. And I will focus on my main collection book as well as my coin roll hunting books. So let's start with my main book. And because of the glare, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove all of the dividers. Hopefully we can see these coins. There we go. We can see them fairly well. Now, I have always been a collector, a type of collector that I just want one of each. And primarily for pennies and anything else is I really want one of each date. So for the penny collection that you will see in this book, what is really the only things that are missing are varieties and maybe NIFC, not intended for circulation coins. So we can see over here, the earliest coin that I have, the first penny produced here in Canada, is the 1858. Moving on to 1859, I have the 1859 narrow 9. Now there are 3 other varieties over here of the 1859 that I don't have. The wide 9/8, the narrow 9, and the narrow 9 number 2, which is double punched. Same thing for this one. I'm not going to be seeking these out. If I come across them and I find that they're of good value, then I might add them to my collection, but I'm not actively seeking these out. In fact, I actually consider my Canadian cent collection to be complete. And so I'm not actually actively following any of these. Moving on, we have the 1876H. The letter H denotes the Heaton Mint, where this was struck in the UK. So all of these here, 1876, 1881, 1882, 1884. As you can see, the 1884 doesn't have the H. 1884 is as you can see as well here, the dates are not consecutive yet. They haven't been producing pennies every single year. 1886, 1887, 1888. We have the 1890 Heaton. The 1891 large leaves, large dates. There's 2 other varieties for 1891. And down here at the bottom, we go to 1892, 1893, 1894, and 1895. So let's have a quick look. Let me just move the book a little bit here so you can have a look at the design. This is probably the cleanest one here that I have. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was cleaned, as a matter of fact. But here is the design. Let me put these dividers back on and we'll look at the obverses. All right, flipping over to the other side, let's have a look at these obverses. I'll remove these dividers so we can have a look at the coins without glare. Now, all of these coins, as you can tell, feature Queen Victoria on the obverse. Here is again the best example in here where there's a little bit of there's a little bit more red in the coin. Queen Victoria facing left. It's impressive to have such old coins. Very cool. And moving on to the next page, I'll remove these dividers as well. All right, these go from 1896 to 1901. 96, 97, 98 H, 99, 90, 1900 H, 1901. So you can see that these now have started consecutive years. Let's see, where did the consecutive years start? 95, 94, 93, 92, 91, 90, 88, 87, 86. And then it skips to 84. So 1886 was the first year where each year there were coins minted. So the design remains the same. I do have 2 additional coins down here. This top one here is an 1899 and the bottom one is 1916 because these over here are extra slots. I put any extras that I find down here. So let's have a quick look at these here. Awesome. Let me put the dividers back in and we'll turn the page. All right, the next page over. Just to look at the obverse over here, let me remove these plastic dividers here. And we can see again, once again, these are all Queen Victoria obverse. This one being the cleanest one that I have, in quite a bit of detail there. We can see elements in the hair and the crown. Really, really cool. Put these guys back here. Moving on to the next page over here. This is a full page over here. We have 1916, which really jumps out. So 1902 to 1920. Again, the design is the same. Awesome. Moving on to the next page, and this is where I expect the obverses to change. So let's go ahead and remove these and have a look at these obverses. We will have two obverses on this one to look at. The first one here facing right is King Edward VII. Right over here, and then King Edward VII over here transitions to King George V, and we have King George V all the way down facing left right here. A lot of red on this one over here. Very cool. Just moving them around so you can maybe see a little bit better. And this was the last year. This was the last year here. 1920 was the last year of the large cent. 1920 also went to the small cent. So let me put these back in and we'll start looking at the small cents. All right, the small cents starting in 1920. So we have our first new design. This page over here goes from 1920 all the way to 1947. I'm removing all the dividers here, and we will see two design changes on this page. So the original design has the words 1 cent with leaves on either side. We can see throughout here. You can see some nice examples here. And then in 1937, that is where the design changed. Now over here, there's a spot here for the 1936 dot, but the 1936 dot is such an extremely rare coin. I believe you count the number of coins that they have on those on a couple of hands. So the odds that I would ever fill this spot were unlikely. So I use this for a variety. Called the 1947 Maple Leaf Pointed 7 as opposed to the regular 1947 Maple Leaf Blunt 7. So I found one and I stuck it in there and I labeled it as such. But 1937 is the year that the design of the Maple Leaf all the way to the end of the penny in 2012 with the iconic Maple Leaf, that's when that started. So 1937 all the way to 1947 with a maple leaf. Now, the maple leaf signifies that the coin was struck in 1948. So let's have a look at these here for the obverse. And here we go. So we have King George V over here, all the way down to, let's see now. The obverse changes over here. So the obverse changed in 1937. And the interesting thing is, you'll see that normally they alternate the facing of the king. So King George V is facing this way, but King George VI is also facing the same direction, because technically speaking, in between King George V and King George VI, there was King Edward VIII, and he would have been facing the other way. And so they just skipped that and continued the facing of King George VI to the left, as you can see here. I am back. I actually had to go off and get the proper information for the 1947, and it is due to a transition, but it is not because of Edward VIII. It is in fact because of the independence of India, And so what happened from 1947 to 1948, this is a transition where the coins on the back said Emperor of India, and they stopped saying Emperor of India after that. And the Royal Canadian Mint was still waiting for the new dies for the obverse to come in, and they didn't have them. So therefore, what they did is they continued striking pennies in 1948 with the 1947 obverse, and to distinguish them from the 1947 issue, they put a maple leaf on next to the date to distinguish the ones struck in 1948. So that's why. The maple leaf was added to the date. So let me go ahead and put these back in, and we'll look at the next page. The next page starts in 1948, and this is where we start seeing pennies that are much redder, less brown. The better examples that I found through my coin roll hunting. Where I have found a variety, I have noted them as such. So let's have a look at these here. We have the design. We have a 1948 or large denticles, and the indicators pointing between denticles. This page goes from 1948 to 1972. We have, I am missing one here actually, the 1955 no shoulder fold. So this one is still one that I haven't found, but based on the rarity of the coin, I don't think I will ever find one. And that's why I've stopped looking for it. I might buy one to fill the whole spot, but I still consider my penny collection to be completed. So let's continue looking at these over here. There is another one over here that I'm missing, which is a 1965 large bead variety. I do look for that one every time I coin roll hunt. I have never found one as well. And of course, we have the commemorative 1967 here with the rock dove. Very, very cool. This 1970 could sure use an upgrade though, but everything else looks really, really sharp. Let me put these dividers on and we'll go to the next page. Moving on to this page, this is where we see the transition from the King George. I'm just going to remove a few here so we can see them on here. From the King George VI obverse over here to the Laureate portrait. We have an excellent version of the Laureate portrait over there. And then we go to the tiara. This was by far the design that I was growing up with when I was a child. Very, very cool. All right, moving on to the next page. For these guys, I'm not going to be removing the plastics because the design isn't any different. So we go from 1973 to 1999. There is the very rare 1985 pointed 5 that I have never found yet. That's a variety. And the 1990p, this is the silver core, the steel core plated coin that I have never found as well. Again, this is a variety that was not intended for circulation. It was intended to use to test in vending machines. But we do have a change of obverse over here. So let's go ahead and have a look where we go. Let me remove these two over here. So we go from the tiara portrait over to the crowned portrait right over here in 1990 is the first year of the crowned portrait right there. That continued on for the next several years until we have the final portrait of Queen Elizabeth on the obverse, as we will see shortly. This is the final page over here in my book, and it goes from 2000 and finishes at 2012. I have a lot of hole fillers here for varieties, and the ones that I am missing the 2001 plated coin. I do have the 2000 Winnipeg that I acquired and the 2003 plated Winnipeg, which have a different obverse. I am missing the 2006 with the P mark. There's the 2006 without, with no logo, the 2006 with the new Royal Canadian Mint logo, and the 2006 with the P composition mark as well. And each of these later varieties have magnetic and non-magnetic varieties. And as I found the different varieties, I have added them here and indicated. So we have I didn't put the year on this one. This is a 2009 magnetic versus this 2009 non-magnetic. This is a 2007 non-magnetic. This is a 2011 magnetic versus the 2011 non-magnetic, and a 2012 magnetic versus the 2012 non-magnetic. And I found here a 2006 with the logo that is non-magnetic, whereas the 2006 with the logo is normally magnetic. But let's have a look at the obverses here. Everything is the same except for, let's have a quick look here. I'm going to try to zoom in with my camera, but you can see under the bust of the Queen. Let me bring it up like this. Under the bust of the Queen, there is a, let's see here if it'll focus. There is a WP, W for Winnipeg Mint, P for plated coin, and this is the new obverse, the uncrowned portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. And that one here, as well as the other one with the W Mint mark over here, are the Winnipeg Mint strikes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of my the state of my main collection book. As you can see, lots of just missing some varieties. But now let's have a look at my coin roll hunting book. Now, I haven't had any pennies in a long while, but let's go ahead and have a look at these. These are the ones that I have found while coin roll hunting. Now, of course, the pointed 5, if it's not in my main book, it won't be in here. We got the pointed 5 over here. We have the I got these reversed. The 1955 no shoulder fold is the one that I'm looking for over here. And we got the 1947 pointed 7 maple leaf is a variety that I haven't found yet, other than the single one that I found and have in my main book. And of course, when you get to the earlier dates, starting in 1941, my dates are few and far between. I did put a 1983 up there because that one was a variety, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, there is the near beads and the far beads variety, so I put the variety over here. And as you can see here, 1936, it says there's only with the dot, there's only 5 known examples, and that's why in my main book I have a 1947 pointed 7 in that spot. But the oldest one I found coin roll hunting is a 1933, which is really cool. It's the only one with the original small penny design that I have ever found. And this one over here is my last book, and the only one I have not found is the magnetic 2010. Everything else has been filled in this book. And that, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, is the state of my penny collection. Now, I can't, of course, have a Monday video without my Monday giveaway, so the giveaway for this month will be this set of 3 Canadian 2021 dimes, including the colorized dime, and this 2021 50-cent commemorative with King George VI on the obverse. And all you have to do to have a chance at winning these coins is leave a comment down below, and early in June I will draw the name of a lucky winner. Come back next week and we'll look at my nickel books. Until, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different than coin roll hunting, but I guess it'll give you a status of where I'm at in my coin collection for Canadian coinage. And if you enjoyed this video, I always appreciate a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, click on my logo over here to subscribe. Here is a video that might be of interest to you, as well as a playlist of other penny coin roll hunts. Until next time, thanks for watching.